So human eye and the colorful world. So this happened. There was a blind man. I mean blind man, I meant color blind man. He argued that there is nothing called as colors. Okay? Because he had never seen colors. He had never experienced colors in real life. So he knows for sure that there is nothing called as color. So this man was going around telling all the people who were trying to impart different colors on the screen as fools, as fake people. They are just fooling everyone around by saying that there is something called as colors. So one day, one fine day, this man sat in a debate, and that became very furious. Debating with a man who is not colorblind. He became furious, and this was the time of Gautama the Buddha. I think you may have heard of his name. So this was the time of Gautama. So a debate was arranged. Now Gautama the Buddha stepped into the scene. He had this colorblind person in front of him, and he sat quietly. The colorblind people said, "So you, the exalted one, can you also see colors?" Gautama the Buddha just smiled. Okay, he did not respond anything. Just his very smile made him furious. That I only see black and white. There are no colors in the world. And all these colored people, these are pretty fake people. These are all false, these and that. Then one of his disciples tried to say that he himself is wearing a yellow ochre colored robe, an ochre colored dress he is wearing. You might have seen Buddha wearing that. Yes? So he said this. This made him more furious. What the hell? You keep on continually saying, and I have come here to prove that there is nothing called as colors. Now, all this time, Buddha was very soft and smiling and not responding, just smiling. Suddenly, what Buddha did, Buddha just tapped into his forehead with his fingers. And suddenly the entire world of colors burst forth in front of him. And for the first time in his life, he experienced something called as colors. He was flabbergasted, amused, wordless to see colors. I mean, he could not believe that there was something called as colors, and now there is colors and colors and colors and colors. Now Gautama the Buddha, Gautama laughed and said, "So, I think you know there is no other colors other than black and white." He was just crying and crying and crying. He has no answer. How will he say that I can see colors? He is anyway experiencing that for the first time in his life. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So basically, this story teaches us quite a few things. First, never argue with a blind person. This is the first point. Because that will only make the matters worse, not good. This is the first lesson. The second lesson is that if a blind person wants to argue, make him experience something that won't let any of his arguments stand in front of him. See, the color blind man was not bad. He just could not see colors, that's all. Thirdly, what is not in our perception, what is not in our senses, we think, or our mind makes us think that it does not exist. Just something is out of our perception does not mean that it does not have any existence. This is the third lesson. And the fourth lesson is, when you can see colors, enjoy it, soak in it, be a part of the wonderful art of this creation. This creation has bestowed us with enormous amount of stuffs to keep us entertained for our entire life. Just enjoy that, and no need to get very serious over every issue. Okay? So we perceive colors through our eyes. This is a gift by nature. I bow down to the gift because this eye is a beautiful instrument. Beautiful. Imagine the world without eyes. So let's start the chapter Human Eye and the Colorful World in this context. So we have an eye that is one of the most intricate gadgets in the entire world, as you can see. So a bit of dwelling into the complicacy can be done easily by your biology teacher, by your respective biology teachers. I am here to just explain the physical aspects of it. So if I want to see the physical aspect of it, the eye functions, I mean, pretty normally. This is approximately the eye. Not a very good picture, but still it will do. So here you have the lens of the eye. Eye has its own lens, of course. What happens is, light comes and it falls into the screen. There is a screen-like structure here. This is called retina. Okay. Now this is a convex lens. Now you know that any object here in a convex lens forms a which kind of image? Which kind of image? Erect or inverted? Huh? Which kind of image? Just in the last chapter we read. Inverted image. So now this produces an inverted image here. So what does it do? All the information here is taken into the brain and the brain inverts it again. And hence we are seeing the world. That's why anybody can fool our perception so easily. Because our brain itself is continually fooling our perception. Okay. Like when a child...
What is the need of inverting it so that we can see it directly?
No, we cannot. No, we cannot see it directly the way it is. Please understand, it has to come through a lens. If it does not come through a lens, it won't focus. If it does not focus, we cannot see.
Why is only a convex mirror is only inserted with?
Because a convex mirror, this is not inserted. This is, it is. Convex mirror is there by default. The lens of our eye, this is it. This is to focus an image in our retina. And this is very necessary. Okay. So,
Sir,
yes.
concave lens থাকলেই তো হতো, তাহলে তো
No.
এত কষ্ট করতে হতো না ব্রেনটাকে।
Why costo?
No.
Concave lens would not have led anything. Of course, concave lens would not have done anything. See, the beauty of nature, the beauty of nature is such that it has created exactly things the way they had to be created. So suppose you were telling what is the need of that inversion. Had it not been inverted, we would have seen the mouse like this. We would have held it straight and seen it like this. But that would go directly contrary to our experience of touch. So to align the experience of touch and the experience of sight together, the image is again processed in the brain inverted. So you might know this fact that when a child is just newly born, everything he sees is inverted. It takes some time for the brain, by touching, see, a child born will touch things very, very frequently. This is to align his experience, his body's experience, how his body experiences the world and the vision that he gets, so that these two gets kind of in alignment and functions in alignment. Okay, is this clear? So what is the eye lens composed of? If somebody asks you that what is exactly the eye lens, did anybody fit a glass lens here in the eye? Not exactly glass lens, it's a jelly like material. Okay, the eye lens is a jelly like material. The moment I utter the word jelly, don't think that you can eat it. So the curvature of this jelly like structure, there are some muscles called as the ciliary muscles that control the curvature of this. Okay, controlling the curvature means controlling the focal length, and the ciliary muscles does that. So why is this adjusting of focal length continually necessary? The adjusting is necessary so that the light directly falls at the retina. Okay, that's why it's necessary, so that the light falls exactly at the retina. Are you getting my point? These are ciliary muscles, and these help to maintain, to adjust the focal length so that exactly the image is formed at the retina, so that we are able to see the images properly. Okay, now the moment you look far, your focal length has to be adjusted immediately. The moment you look in front, the focal length has to be adjusted immediately. Okay, did you try this experiment at home, that you put your eyes in close and then try to blur all the letter went blur? Did you do these experiments?
Yeah. Yes, sir,
You did? Yes, like
Yes.
if you try to play with your eyes, then you can just see that these all letters will become blur
Yes, sir.
like anything. So this is playing with the ciliary muscles
I say that.
to change the focal length. Okay, now the focal length cannot be changed beyond a certain point like this can't happen. So you have a concept that is called the power of accommodation. Power of accommodation. Now what is the power of accommodation? Power of accommodation is simply the ability of the eye lens to adjust its focal length. Okay, is this clear, that focal length is to be always adjusted?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
now because there are situations like this, there can happen some problem also sometimes. Okay, which kind of problems? Problems with seeing. Now before getting into the problems of seeing, why do I need spectacles like this? Why cannot see anything like this? Why can I not see anything like this straight? I cannot see literally anything written even in the laptop screen. So why do I need spectacles? What is the exact problem? Before acknowledging those, I will just slightly go into a concept called as the near point. Okay, now what is near point? Near point is the closest distance from which we can see comfortably, from which our eyes can see comfortably without any kind of strain. Is this clear? This is the near point. Anybody, can you repeat what is the near point?
It is the range of our eyes at which we can see anything comfortably.
So basically, beyond near point, we need to have some kind of the eyes will undergo some kind of strain to focus beyond the near point. So generally, in young healthy adults, generally this has been seen experimentally with many subjects, that the near point is around 25 centimeters. Okay, that means from 25 centimeters to infinity you can see objects clearly. This is the meaning of near point. Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything beyond near point, or I can do that into close to us with less than 25
It will,
not either
yes.
train.
See, apply your common sense and you will know this. So just like near point, you will ask, sir, is there something called as far point? Absolutely yes. So the far point concept is like that if, I mean, the greatest amount of distance which our eyes can see is called as far point. So generally for adults, for young adults, healthy adults, it is, what is far point? Can you tell? What is the last point beyond which one cannot see properly? Yes, infinity. Because the moment you look at the skies,
Because the earth is round, after an exit we can see the places anymore. If it had been a flat surface,
we could see up to infinity. Yes, we do see. Just open your eyes to the sky. Billions of light years away, there are stars, there are galaxies, and we are seeing them. Are you getting my point? So there is no limit of far point for our eyes. But we have near point, healthy near point as 25 centimeters. Okay? Okay. There is an interesting question. Try to answer this using your common sense. Okay? I very much enjoy using common sense here in the class rather than you use any kind of, I mean, ratified answers. So, can you tell me, one eye is so complex to make, but why did nature bestow most of the animals with two eyes, including us? Can you tell me?
see the other time in two opposite ends.
First think, two opposite directions. You can see with these eyes in two opposite directions. What?
No, I need to say that for a wide range, yes, sir, for wide range of vision.
This is one reason, yes?
So it's just 180 degrees of vision.
অত মুখস্থ করে নিছিস, বুদ্ধি দিয়ে কিছু বল।
করতে পারে না, এটা একটা
ওই তো ভিডিওতে গিলে নিছিস। Now say something with common sense if you can see. So I mean, any more point for which you think that two eyes are necessary?
Single eye
বিভৎস দেখতে মানে what are you saying? Do you even know what you are saying? Yes, anybody?
Sir, if one eye gets damaged, then the other eye will help.
No, if both the eyes get damaged.
কেউ কিছু বলছিল না, না আমরা কিছু বলে
My God.
That right answer.
Yes, tell me.
মানে মাথা না ঘুরেই মানে চারপাশটা দেখতে হয়।
Are you a chameleon? Are you a chameleon, Saki?
না, চারদিকে অনেক কিছু।
That you said already. Say something new. See, I'm not that idiot, okay, that you can fool me up with language. You cannot. So better try something new. See, let me tell you. Do you have pen in front of you, pen and pencil? Take two pens. Take two pens. Everybody, pick up 2 pens quickly.
Taken.
Pick up 2 pens. Pick up 2 pens. Everybody, taken?
Yes, sir.
Now, you try to touch the 2 end points of this pen like this. This is happening? Happening?
Yes, sir.
Happening very easily?
Yes, sir.
Now close one of your eye like this. And then try the same thing.
Sir, it's not happening.
Yes?
হয়ে গেল, sir.
Are that hoye gelo to is by trial and testing. I'm saying in usual sense.
না, মানে first time explain হয়েছে তারপর
So are you facing difficulty with one eye? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Anybody who is bothering with the experiment, you are facing little bit trouble, na? This is simply because with one eye, na, you can see things flat. You can see things 2D. But what these 2 eyes does, they are placed at a different location. So any object you see with this eye and this eye, they come as different images. Brains mix these 2 into a 3D formation. Are you getting my point? This gives you a 3D feeling. Is this clear? Everything that we see is the light is coming into 2 of our eyes with a slightly different angle. These when mixed together, we see what? We see the we actually have the feeling that we are seeing in 3D. Is this clear to everybody?
Yes.
Everybody who is bothering to listen to the class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can devise many experiments yourself if you want. This is just one of them. Okay, I and my physics teacher had a huge debate once that lasted for nearly 1 month. I was saying that, okay, so I had this huge debate with my physics teacher once. He said that we see everything in 3D. I said it is an illusion. It is an illusion of our brain that we see in 3D. And this debate continued for long and long. I gave him logics and logics and logics. At one point he nearly accepted. Then once again he drew off from that argument. And that never came to a conclusion. So I encourage healthy debates like this, because I was a very active debater. I did not leave any question unturned. Whatever bothered me, I just plunged myself into it. Okay. Now, so we discussed about a little about how we can see, and the concept of accommodation and I mean what is near point, far point, etc. Now we shall be knowing about some defects that occur. Now eye defects are very common, and this is getting increasingly common in this century. This is alarming. Even babies are having, I mean just 3 to 4 year olds, they are having spectacles. This is really concerning thing. If you see in my perspective, this is simply because of lack of exposure to nature and too much exposure to the technology. I myself am a prey to it. Okay, I did not have any kind of spectacles up to class 7 or 8, I think. And then one day I had a
Got that.
Mhm.
I got that in around 7 or 8 only.
That
Got mine.
that's not a good sign. I mean that's not good.
Actually, I might have not got it to
We are having diseased eye. Okay, this is not a consolation. We are having this disease. Okay, anyway. So
I don't have the eye disease at the very beginning. It was migraine.
it's all right.
It turned into eye.
Okay. Now there are several kinds of defects of vision. The first defect of vision is called as myopia. This is the most common type of defect. Okay, that is most common. Even I have myopia, and I guess you also have myopia. What is myopia? When we can see near objects clearly, but we cannot see the objects far away clearly. This condition is called as
Yes.
myopia. Okay, this condition is called as myopia. Now let us see in context to light what happens to our eye actually when we have myopia. So this is our eye. So what happens is, normally whatever object that hit our eyes, that passes through the lens, what it happens, it places itself exactly at the focus. What happens for a myopic eye is, whenever rays come, suppose it is coming from infinity, so the focus should have been exactly this distance, but what happens instead is the focus becomes somewhere here. Okay, somewhere closer to the lens. This condition becomes myopia. Okay, off from the retina, the focus becomes off from the retina towards the lens. This condition is called as myopia. Okay, this is called as the short-sightedness. Can anybody suggest the correction for it? How can it be corrected?
Increase the power of the lens.
Which lens?
Iron power cannot be increased, but spectacles,
Which kind of spectacles?
convert to the light.
Which can converge more.
Convex.
If they converge more, then the light will come more to this side, right?
That,
Did I was?
that concave lens, like
Yes. Concave lens will be doing the job. Why? Because these rays now, instead of going straight, they will kind of diverge. And it will make it feel like the ray is coming from here. So, when it passes through the convex lens, it will fall into the retina. This is what we want, isn't it so? This is how the power is adjusted. If you go into any kind of optical shop, they will give you many kind of powers. Can you see clearly in this? Can you see clearly in this? Blah, blah, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what they do. Okay. Now, which concave lens you should buy, of which focal length, so that it properly, forms an image into your retina. This is all what needs to be seen. Is that clear?
Yes.
So this condition is called as myopia. This is called as nearsightedness. This is very common. Actually, this is very common in nature. In getting increasingly common. The next kind of eyesight problem is called as hypermetropia. Now this is the problem. This is also called as farsightedness. Now you may have seen many problems, many people with plus power. They say na plus power. See, Mayuri.
Yes, sir.
The concave lens, the focal length of concave lens is negative, you know. Yes?
What?
The focal length of concave lens is negative.
Concave lens is negative.
Huh?
yes.
Yes.
That is the reason why your power, my power is negative. This is very much related, okay? These are not alien stuffs. This relation I want to highlight again and again. Okay. This is how you gather knowledge and relate stuffs. More important than gathering knowledge is connecting the dots. So what is hypermetropia? See. This is the eye. And hypermetropia happens when the ray of light which was coming, which otherwise would have fallen into the focus, this gets beyond the focus. I mean, this hit here at the retina, but once again this is blur. So actually they cannot see the objects which are near them clearly. Are you getting my point? Suppose any object is here. Let me tell you. Suppose any object they want to see here, near. Their eyes won't allow that simply because the focal length cannot be adjusted. This forms somewhere here and they get blurred. This forms a hypermetropic eye. Can anybody suggest a solution for that? Anybody?
Sir,
A convex lens.
Yes. Use a convex lens. What will a convex lens do? Now the light is coming like this, it will converge and the focus will be, I mean, reduced to its proper place. Okay? Are you getting my point? So what will happen? It will seem it will initially seem as if the object is here. This is what hypermetropia is. Okay. In each of the case, what we are trying to do, let me tell you. Here in this case, the far point of the eye is something. Now we are trying to adjust the lens such that the far point meets exactly the same length. Okay, we are using the concave lens so that the far point will be exactly set to, I mean, this length, even when light is coming from infinity. Is that clear? In case of hypermetropia,
Yes, sir.
in case of hypermetropia, if this is the near point, we adjust the focal length of this lens such that the light tends to come from this near point only. Is this clear?
The purified water.
Okay. So therefore this lens has power positive. You may have heard this thing, that positive powered people cannot see the things in front of them clearly. That's why they need positive power. You might have seen this.
Bifocal.
Let me come to that one by one. Why are you so, I mean,
I'm so curious about that.
okay, all your thirst will be quenched. Is hypermetropia clear to all of you? These are very theoretical stuffs. Practical applications only happen in a, I mean, optician's store or near an optician. So now whenever you go to an eye doctor, you go to an optician, now when he tells these, you will know that I have learned these things. Yes, you will have confidence. The last kind of symptoms that happens is presbyopia. Now what is presbyopia? If I say very directly, presbyopia happens due to aging. Okay. Now when people age, what happens is the eyes become weaker, the muscles become weaker. So what happened? What happens? The near point which was 25 centimeter otherwise, they go far and far and far. Slowly and slowly and slowly. They keep on getting far. Is that clear? This defect is called as presbyopia. So they may sometime need to wear glasses for this. This is due to aging, primarily due to aging. Okay, what happens here? The near point shifts further and further. Is that clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now sometimes it may happen that a person suffers from both myopia and hypermetropia. This may also happen. A person suffering from both myopia and hypermetropia. How means, I mean, what? So what is this?
Sir,
Huh?
how to correct that this is express myopia?
By just wearing corrective glasses. Corrective glasses. You wear corrective glasses that adjust
That is
your near point. No, there is, I mean, there is no such thing. See, exactly, if you see now, the lens don't have any kind of, I mean, this is neither a concave nor a convex lens. Are you getting my point? These are combination of lenses. So a proper combination of lenses are usually used so that the focal length gets adjusted by and by. Is that clear? Yes?
This can be corrected
If
by
yes, if the near point shifts further and further, to bring it front, we use concave lens. Isn't it so? We use concave kind of lens that will give us that kind of effect. Is that clear? To make the near point farther, we use convex lens, like in hypermetropia. But here, we will generally use concave lens, but combination of lenses can also be used. Here, there is no such specific thing that is mentioned. Okay. Now there comes this problem when myopia and hypermetropia happens at the same time. That means a person cannot see the objects in the front clearly, neither can he see objects far away clearly. So what does he need? Now he needs both kind of such solution. This happens with a lens called as bifocal lens. This is no, nothing like that. It's far more complex like that than that. The essential nature remains like that. The essential nature for myopic correction is a concave lens. Nature, I am saying, nature wise, the focal length. And the essential nature of hypermetropic eye is a convex lens. But otherwise, you use both of them, both of this nature in a single lens. That is called as bifocal. You might have seen this increasingly common in old age people. So there is this lens and there is something like this here. Okay. This kind of lenses you have seen? Means this part is for hypermetropia and this part is for myopia and this part is for hypermetropia. This part is for hypermetropia. Is that clear?
One minute, out. That small semicircular region or whatever that is, that should be for hypermetropia.
This is for hypermetropia, yes. This is for hypermetropia and this is for seeing far away objects.
You were drawing that your screen and your voice are not corresponding.
Okay.
I heard it earlier and
Okay. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So this was a little bit about the eye, a little bit chattering about the eye and the defects in the eyes and its correction and blah blah blah. This is very much theoretical in nature. Okay, applications are not here as such right now. Okay, so I think you can, do it. So there is also an interesting section in NCERT with this eye. You can see it later. There is a box which says about our eyes after death. So that's a good thing. You can study for more information. Now let us discuss about
Sir, can you repeat what the question?
what happens to our eyes after death. Can anybody see through our eyes after our death? Is this possible? So there is a section in NCERT that describes precisely this thing. So you can go through it. Okay.
Yeah, that is by Sigma or something like that.
Yes. Okay. Anyway. So now let us come into the next topic, that is called as prism, your favorite topic. Okay, let me bring a prism. Wait. Okay, so I'm sorry, that was a little emergency call I had to take. So this is a prism. Okay, this is a prism. If I see the structure of the prism, it is, if you see the sideways, it is like this. Okay, so that means if you can see that there is one surface, two surface, three surfaces which are rectangular and two surfaces which are triangular. Is that clear? This forms a prism. Now this is entirely of glass. This has a wonderful property. What it does, it can give you seven the colors like violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. It can completely disperse the colors out. But I am taking this light, this laser light. I'm taking this laser light. I am passing through this prism, but it is not getting dispersed. It is not getting dispersed. Can anybody explain me why? I cannot see seven colors of this. Can anybody explain to me why is this happening? Anybody?
The laser light is the red color.
Anybody? Anybody else? So this is very common sense. If a color is one, if this is monochromatic ray, then of course it has nothing to disperse. Why or how does prism disperse all the seven colors of white light? This is simply because white light consists of all the seven colors. If you have the seven colors in Newton's disk, and if you reverse it, I guess I said in the first class, I think Mayuri would remember it. So if I have a Newton's disk of seven colors and I just spin it very fast, I will see it white. So white consists of all the seven colors, and black does not consist of any color. So basically this is the idea behind the prism. Now how does prism work? Simply on the basis of refraction. Let us have a mathematical treatise on this very phenomena. Okay, is everybody there in the class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So this is a prism. Okay, I take a ray of light. Suppose I take a ray of light like this, like this. So what will happen now? It would refract. It would refract. It would refract like this. This is the emergent ray. Is this clear to everybody? Is this clear, Ray?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is actually very simple in making. This is one line perpendicular to this, and this is yet another line perpendicular to this given plane. Okay, is this clear?
Yes.
Now this is what we call the angle of incidence. This is the first angle of refraction, this is the second angle of refraction, and of course this is the angle of emergence, isn't it so? I shall do a little bit of mathematics, very geometrical kind of mathematics that you can very easily see actually. So nothing very dramatic as such. Okay, this angle is called the angle of prism. Is this clear? Can you see that the angle of incidence and the angle of emergence is always with respect to the normal? Even the angle of refraction is also with respect to the normal. Did you see this? This is because of its very nature. The angle of prism is called as A. Is the nomenclature clear to all of you? Is the nomenclature clear to all of you? The nomenclature, what is A, what is I, what is R1, R2, E? Is this clear to all of you? Okay, so let us describe something. This is 90 degree. This is R1. So can I say that this is 90 degree minus R1? Because all of them would sum up to be 180 degrees. This entire thing would sum up to be 180 degrees. So can I say like this? Can I?
Yes.
Similarly, can I say this angle is 90 minus R2? Because this entire thing will sum up to be 180 degree. Can I say it like this? Respond please. Please respond.
Yes, sir.
So from this triangle, can I say A plus 90 degree minus R1 plus 90 degree minus R2 is equal to 180 degree? Can I say?
Yes, sir.
This is by the triangle law, the sum of angles of triangles. So if you see 90, 90 and 180 gets cancelled, I have R1 plus R2 is equal to A. This is a very important property. The first very important property. Is this clear? This gives the direct relation of the two refracted rays or the two refracted angles with the angle of the prism. This gives direct relation. Is this clear? R1 plus R2 is equal to A. Okay? Is the derivation clear to all of you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now there is one more concept that you need to know. What is that concept? There is something called as deviation. Now what is deviation? Suppose you are studying and you are having an Instagram notification. So you are deviated towards that Instagram notification. Similarly, the concept of deviation is also here like this. The incident ray was going like this, but now the incident ray is going like this. So the incident ray has turned from this direction to this direction. So this is the angle of deviation. Is the meaning understood? Shagnik?
Sir, can you explain once again?
What is the meaning of deviation? Deviation means how much anything is deviated. Here we are talking with respect to a ray of light. So how much this ray of light is deviated, how can I say? By its incident light was trying to go in this direction, but now the light is finally going in this direction. So this is the angle in which the ray deviated. This is the net angle. This is the net angle in which the ray deviated. Isn't it so?
Yes.
Okay. Now can anybody take up the exercise to find this angle of deviation right now? Just by triangle, by taking this triangle into account. Can anybody solve it or shall I solve it?
It will be 180 degree minus R1 plus R2.
Acha. So let's try to solve this. So this entire angle, see, look at it closely. This entire angle is I. This angle is I. And this is R1. So this angle will be I minus R1. Okay. Similarly, this entire angle is E. And this is R2. So this angle will be E minus R2. So angle of deviation will be simply I minus R1 plus E minus R2, because this is the triangle. This is I minus R1, this is E minus R2, and this is the external angle. So this plus this will be equal to this, isn't it so?
Okay.
So you have this as I plus E minus of R1 plus R2, and R1 plus R2 is A. So deviation comes out to be equal to I plus E minus A. Is this clear? So if you are trying to see the prism, then these two formulas are extremely important for you to solve any kind of problem. And apart from that, you have Snell's law to find R1. Okay? And if you find R1, you will pretty much get everything that you need. Is this clear to all of you? Tell me if you have any kind of doubt here. Tell me. Anybody? See, if you are not asking any kind of doubt, I will assume that you have understood everything. Please be shameless while asking doubts.
Sir, not yet any doubt.
Okay. So can I proceed forward? So this thing I did considering a monochromatic light. Monochromatic light means light of a single wavelength. You will be surprised to know that the refractive index for different colors of light in a mirror, I mean in a prism, is different. Okay. For different colors of light, we have different refractive indexes. So we shall not discuss this in class 10. This is somewhat outside the scope of class 10. This is just for your this is just to cater your interest, nothing else. So now you know what Newton did? Newton did this famous experiment. When he took white light out of it, he got all the colors. He got violet, okay, then he got indigo, then he got blue, then he got green, then he got yellow, then he got orange, and then he got red. All of them he got. Okay, now this is not this fat or this big. I'm just trying to show you the spectrum of colors that he had obtained by shining a simple white light. Representing a white light in the white screen is not possible, but this is what has happened. Okay, this is a famous property of the prism. What does it do? It refracts all the light. All the light, and it disperses all the colors. Disperses all the light. Is this clear to all of you? Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, suppose I put another prism here. So what will happen? All these lights will once again be a straight ray of light and go away like this. This is called as recombination of white light. This phenomenon is called recombination of white light. Is this clear? Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Anybody having any doubt here? Okay. Now, let us using this. Now, you have learned the theory part enough to appreciate some of the phenomena that we can discuss using this, this is not diffraction, this is dispersion, using dispersion. First is formation of rainbow. How many of you have not seen a rainbow till date? Nobody. How many of you have not seen a rainbow till date? Nice to know that at least everybody of you have seen rainbow. Now, how does a rainbow form? Like this. Suppose this is a droplet of rainwater.
Droplets
Yes.
of water.
Suppose this is a droplet of rainwater. So this is basically water filled sphere. So what happens is, when light enters in, when one ray of light enters, it disperses into many colors. And every color refracts itself. I mean, reflects from here and then it emerges. Okay. This is how all the colors you get to see of a rainbow. There are thousands of particles like that. There are not thousands, there are millions of particles like that. And through all of them, you get to see a shade of colors. Is this clear? Is this clear, Ray?
Yes, sir.
So can you explain the phenomenon of rainbow now
Yes, sir.
using dispersion? Ritam? Okay, I think you all can. Now, let us come to some more phenomenons. Now, these were inside the surface of the earth. Now, if we talk about outside, these are called as atmospheric refraction. These are very much theoretical. You study it like a story and then you get the concept. What happens is, there are many forms of stars. The first is twinkling of stars. You might have noticed your mother or father telling you at the night sky that, see beta, see, those which are twinkling are stars. Those which are not twinkling are planets. Did you get to hear this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is actually the twinkling of star? This also happens because of refraction. So stars are very far away. So when faint light comes here to the earth, now there is a layer of atmosphere here. The layer of atmosphere keeps on getting heavier down. So what happens is, this light, this kind of bends here like this. So when a guy here is seeing the star, he will be seeing the star somewhat here. Okay. And because of this phenomena, he will see the star twinkling. Because he will not see the star anywhere at its exact position. Are you getting my point? Is this clear? Now, because the atmosphere is versatile, this ray keeps on changing its position almost instantaneously. So we see that the starlight twinkle. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
You will see in this twinkling effect that sometimes the star appear to be bright, sometimes the star appear to be, not so bright. This is exactly due to atmospheric refraction. If you go out in space, there is no twinkling of stars. There is no twinkling of stars in outer space because there is no phenomena to twinkle like this. There is one more very interesting example. I don't know, you may know this or not. This is advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. What happens is, when the sun starts rising like this, when the sun starts rising, this is the atmosphere of the earth. The rays of the light come to the sun and it bends like this. Now suppose somebody is here. He will see the sun here. So sun has not come at its position, but we see it rise in. This is called as advanced sunrise. When the sun did not even come to this position, had come to this position, we see the sun to be at this position. This is called as advanced sunrise. The same phenomena is with delayed sun rays. Now if the sun is coming down, when the sun is actually here, we will see it here. That's called as delayed sunset. Is this clear? This is also because of atmospheric refraction. Why does atmospheric refraction happen? Because as somebody gets into the atmosphere, the layers become deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So the refractive index changes from top to bottom. If we take 400 kilometers of altitude, you will see the refractive index changes quite significantly. These results in the rays getting bent. Is this clear? Anybody?
বুঝতে পারছি না আজকে কি হচ্ছে মাইক মিউট করলে আনমিউট হচ্ছে না আনমিউট করলে মিউট করতে অসুবিধা হচ্ছে
Okay. So is this understood, everybody?
স্যার আজকে আমারও মাইকের প্রবলেম হচ্ছে এক্ষুনি চলে
Okay. But except that, is this understood?
but coincident that we both are
I know your genetics are same. So
God knows how.
is this clear?
Sir, আরেকবার একটু বুঝান।
See, this is nothing for bujhano. What do you want to understand? What do you want to understand?
স্যার এই ফেনোমেনাটাই
Suppose the sun is here. The light comes from the sun, but because the atmosphere becomes denser, the refraction happens. Atmospheric refraction happens. So basically, we see the light here. Our eyes always see straight. Our eyes cannot ever see any kind of carved path. And that is how we completed the entire ray optics chapter. So we will be seeing the sun somewhat here. The apparent position of the sun will be here. So before the sun has come to its position, we see the sun here. This is called as advanced sunrise. Is this clear? Is this clear, Ray? Shagni? This phenomena is simply because of atmosphere. Is this clear? Shagnik? Hey Shagnik,
হ্যাঁ স্যার
is this clear
হ্যাঁ
right now? So this phenomena is called advanced sunrise, and in the same way you have delayed sun rays. What is it called? Delayed sunset. Yes. So basically, why are this happening? Simply because of atmospheric refraction and nothing else. Okay. Now, you might have seen something in the morning. In the morning, when there is a little amount of dust in your room, the sunlight enters, it spreads out. Did you see this? Did you see this effect? In the forests, if there is a mist and from the middle space of two leaves, a sun rays coming, it gets sprayed. Did you see this effect? Did you see this?
Mist also, but dust
Yes.
can be seen.
Yes, absolutely so. I'm saying that in the forest you don't get to see dust.
ও স্যার যে টিন্ডাল এফেক্ট
Yes. This is an effect called as the Tyndall effect. Okay. Now let me see whether Tyndall effect can really, I mean, they can not the explaining of Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect in forest. Let me check whether there is. See, the light sprayed so beautifully now. Are you saying this?
Yes, sir. I saw this in the report.
Yes. So these effect of spreading of light, this is called as Tyndall effect. This is scattering of light. Okay. So what happens is, now when there are some particles, maybe droplets or dust particles, which are not very tiny also, and which are not very large also. It is in the mid range. You may have studied in chemistry. So when the light hits on them, they are of that size range. What they does is they reflect the light, yes, but they also show the entire path of light by scattering it. Is this clear? Now you will study in chemistry chapter 1, I guess, that this kind of objects, I mean this kind of particles or solutions form in the category called as colloids. Okay, did anybody hear of the name colloids?
Yes, sir, in the previous class.
Oh, in the previous class only. Yes.
Yes,
So you know the entire phenomenon of scattering, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Not so likely, I forgot to do.
okay. So now, using this scattering, we shall explain one of the last thing. That is something for which Chandrasekhar Venkat Raman, probably the only Indian physicist who has won a Nobel for explaining this. You want to know the question? Why is sky and water blue? Can anybody attempt an answer to this?
Sir, I have listened that because the sky is blue, so the water reflects light.
Not because the sky is blue, the sky is blue.
It reflects blue light. because of that.
Okay. Can you explain it more elaborately?
Elaborate দিতে পারবো না, মানে জানি যে বাকি সব কালার অ্যাবজর্ব করে নিয়ে blue লাগে।
Not বাকি সব absorb করে নি. Anybody else?
Sir, the water is blue because when light falls on when the reflection of sky comes in the water, then only.
No. See, what happens is the sky has no end. So how can you this is just the way you perceive. What happens is the air particles are minute, so they cannot reflect light of higher wavelengths. They reflect light of very short wavelengths. So if you see VIB, GYOR, this is in the increasing order of wavelength. The color red has the maximum wavelength. That is the reason why red is used as a stop signal in traffic lights in anywhere. Are you getting my point? Because red has the maximum wavelength. The small particles that are present here, even in water, when they reflect the smaller wavelength of light, and that makes us feel like we are seeing it blue. Is this clear to all of you?
Why not violet?
See, there are violet is, I mean, too much. Violet is in the extreme corner. So these particles are in the mid range. Are you getting my point? So the average expression we find. Yes. You will find several colors. You will find very deep blue color in the ocean. You will find very light blue color in the skies as well as the ocean. It totally depends on how the light is getting reflected. But overall, this is blue because of this. Another thing to consider is, just now sunset happened. How many of you have seen red sky during sunset? And even during sunrise?
Sir, I have.
Okay.
Sir, I have.
Okay. Now, can you use this physics to explain why a sunset or a sunrise is red in color? Anybody, can you try?
That's what's happening.
Anybody wants to try? Hmm?
রেড কালারটাকে মানে যে হায়ার ওয়েভলেন্থের কালারটাকে
Why? One time it will reflect colors of small wavelength. The same particles will reflect colors of higher wavelength. Why? Why the hell? This is no logic. This is not a good logic, isn't it?
There must be any reason.
Disha, will you try? Disha,
Sir, ওই যে ছানোর টাইম হয়ে গেছে।
will you try? Ritam,
স্যার, ওরা ঘুমিয়ে পড়েছে, বেকার জানাচ্ছ।
Ritam,
Yes, sir.
will you try? Nobody wants to try out explanations. How will you be scientists? See,
কলকাতা সাইন্টিস্ট হচ্ছে।
what happens? You want to be a physicist, Mayuri.
আগে নির্দাদা চাইতে পারিস কেন?
You wanted to be a physicist, I guess. So you should work on your vocabulary of physics. So what happens is, see, this is how we explain it very beautifully. This is the earth. During sunset and sunrise, what happens is the light takes a longer amount of distance. I mean, the light covers a longer distance than it is when in the noon. In the noon, light has to cover a shorter distance. So you see kind of yellowish light in the noon. But during sunset and sunrise, it has to travel longer distance. So the longer wavelength gets the opportunity of more reflection. And hence we see this reddish kind of appearance here. Are you getting my point?
Means this is not related to the particles.
This is related to the particles. This is related to the particles. Particles scatter here the red light mostly because of the fact that the light here is dominant in red wavelength, because it travels a relatively long distance.
I wanted to ask something.
Yes.
So happens that sometimes the sky appears to be purely blue with white clouds and
Yes. Oh, awesome. Yes, I have seen.
Okay. My main question is that at that time where the sun is.
The sun is always there, either behind or in front. You just look at the wrong place in the
It's
sky.
not visible.
Are Baba, sun is here and the clouds are here. You see here. How can you see the sun?
So why the clouds are white?
There are many explanations to this. Clouds are basically what? Clouds are
Yes.
the vaporized form of water. Water vaporizes into clouds. Yes, there are other gases present, but
Solid, gas, whatever.
clouds are not solid. Clouds are clouds. They are like that at a particular height because of the temperature. You may try standing in cloud 9, which you are anyway. Okay,
No, sometimes it Doraemon.
so you stay in the Doraemon world. They did not study much of physics. So anyway, never mind their physics. This kind of completes the entire chapter. Okay, so we are done with the entire light. Okay, yes.
একটা লাস্ট জিনিস
So we are done with this entire chapter of light. So this is it for today's lecture, and we shall meet in the next class. Thank you.